Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Today I'm going to go over my solar system and touch base on a few basic things. This controller here is on the north side, this side of the house, and also this one here. I got two groups of panels on my north side. Now I do have one group of panels on the south side. Currently, the north top panels, I got 625 watts coming in. And also I had another 472 here. So we got roughly 1100 watts on the north side. That's more than enough to power what's on in my home at the moment. I am running full solar at this time. Now the ones on the south side, I got 812 watts. Now the south side is capable of 1100 watts. So I'm running, what is that, roughly 75%. And on the north side over here at 616 watts, it's also at roughly, I can get up to 1200 watts. That's right at borderline at 50%. And on the north side here, I got 471 watts, and that's only about 30%. Now, I've got a tree that shades that bottom row of panels. That's why, if you're wondering why, at this time of year. Now there's three groups of panels. I've got breakers for each set. Now, I want to step over here, the other side. This is my inverter. I got a logbook here, which I take daily logs of how many kilowatts that are used. This is my watt meter. This is my sub meter, so I know what's going on. Now this inverter is 3000 watts, 220 volts, and it's a full sine wave inverter, which means it's compatible for refrigerators, air conditioning, whatever. So if you're wondering what we got, it's not a real efficient inverter, but it's a very durable inverter. It's been going 24/7 now over 2 years. It's only 85% efficient. And what I mean by that, when it converts from the batteries, the 24 volts to 220 volts, it's only 85% efficient converting energy for usable 220 volts. Now, the batteries are LiPo4 batteries. They're 24 volts each. I have 4 of them, and they're 150 amp hours. Roughly, I think 3.2 kilowatt each, which works out to roughly around 14 total kilowatts. But they do have a built-in BMS, which only will allow me to use 80% of the energy stored in the battery. So you take that 80%, less the 85% efficiency of the inverter, I'm down to about roughly probably 7 or 8 kilowatt usable. So keep that in mind when you got a system to set up. Now, today I'm running, as I said earlier, I'm running on full solar. And we're getting a variable wattages because it is overcast. It's coming and going. And the batteries, I keep a voltmeter handy because about once a month I will disconnect each battery and check the voltages and make sure that all are working and functioning the same. to make sure I don't have a problem with one of the batteries, which right now I've only had to do it one time. Now this up here, if you're curious, this switch here, this is a transfer switch. This takes me from 100% household to, when I switch to the other side, it takes me down to about 50%. Because I have my refrigerator, deep freeze, well pump, everything on the outside on solar only, 24/7. In other words, most of my high usage appliance. I've been able to do that since I've added the extra panels, and also when I added the extra batteries for the LiPo 4 batteries. Even on days like today when it's overcast, clouds are moving in and out, I have no issues. And if you're wondering what all this extra wire is for, this is for my future plan, and I just didn't want to trim it and store it, because I plan on changing this unit here to a hybrid inverter. The hybrid inverter, the majority of them that I plan on using, they run basically between 95 and 98% efficient, which means I'll get more usage out of my batteries. And they also have built-in solar control. And the one I've been looking at, it will handle up to 500 volts. So that's going to take all my arrays where they're set up. I'm looking at open voltage, 80 volts, 80 volts. That's 240 volts, 3 times 240 volts. So that's going to work out quite well. But when I put the other inverter in, I'm not going to remove these at that time, because my experience here in the Philippines, not everything works the way it should. So I want to make sure everything functions, and I will be hanging on to this for backup function in case something was to go wrong. So that's what the excess wire is for. This little device I got hanging here, that's for the hybrid inverter, so I can use it on the Wi-Fi and see what its functions are and how everything's working. So that gives you an idea of what's going on. Again, I got 4 batteries. They are performing extremely well, better than, to be honest with you, better than I expected. Now you can build your own batteries. You buy individual cells. If you're going to do a solar system, I recommend doing a 24 volt or 48 volt. 48 volt is ideal. The reason for the 48 volt, you can have less amperage going from your inverter to the batteries. You don't have to use heavier cable, depending on the size of the inverter too. But you can get typical 5,000 watt inverters. They're fairly affordable now. They've been a lot put on the market. Most of my stuff I have bought online. Actually, all of it. I got this one from Lazada. This from Lazada. Now these controllers are Palmister, and they have been fantastic. My oldest controller, let me see, look at the date on top, is this one. And it's been running since January 10 of 2020. It has never failed. This one here is about 6 months newer, and it has never failed. This one here I just bought recently. I bought it last month, and I have noticed they've done an upgrade on this one. The fan is much quieter, and this one here, the display, you can't see it right now, but instead of like 1,100 watts, it would show 1 kW. It'd be 1.1, and programming on this actually locks in and works. I've got it set at 28.7 volts, I think, thereabouts, and it will shut down before these other two. They're locked in at 29.2, and they'll start floating out. But that's something to keep in mind. Now, there are other brands available, different price ranges, if you're going to go with a similar inverter. But most hybrid inverters, you won't need these unless you're exceeding the amperage of its charge capability. Example, say if I put another set of array in, and I probably would use one of these controllers if I had the hybrid, because it's tapped out at 150 amps. Even though in most times it would be under that 150, but I'd rather be safe and do a separate connection for the charging. I don't want it to go over. That's one reason these are all set at under the rating. 1450 watts is what they're all rated at 24 volt. I think that's what that is. This here, I still have the sticker on this one. No, 1440 watts at 24 volts. And if you're on 48 volts, you can put 2800 watts of panel on this on-board control. So that's why I did this. No array is above the 1440. I figured that would help me extend the life of my controllers. Same way as your inverter. You try to keep your load under its max. Right now, I'm peaking, let's say if I'm a refrigerator and deep freeze, and air conditioner flowing, I'm peaking with other things too, right around 2000 watts. I'm hitting 70%, 75%. I'm borderline being what I call under what I like to be. That way you don't have to worry about your inverter overheating, because when you start running close to its max, the temperature will rise. Even though it's got fans in it and everything keeps it cool, if you want to keep problems down, you want to stay under 75% of its maximum rating. So the main thing is go through your home, look at your appliances, see what the wattage is on each one. There are labels on all appliances, so you will know. But anyway, folks, that's a little bit about my solar setup, and hopefully you enjoy.